So today we're going to get into some tiny movements for the hips, but are very beneficial. And I really like working in small ways on our strength. So, it's great to do these big exercises, lifting weights and all of that, but sometimes maybe it will suit us to do something small and focus on the smaller muscles or the more internal muscles. But also this is going to benefit all of the other work. If you're doing other strength work, this is going to be a great foundation to do as well. So what we're going to do is sit with our 90-90 legs. So we'll start with the right leg forward and the left leg back. So we kind of bringing the ankles away from the body. We're going to place the right hand down on the mat and the left hand's going to be on the left side of the pelvis. So find your hip bone, the bony part of the pelvis, or bony part of the hip rather, on the left side. And what we're going to do is we're going to lift it forward, which means we're squeezing the glute at the back, and then we're going to lower it back down. Keep the hand on the hip bone because that will help you in your mind think about lifting it and then lowering it down. So let the body move with it as well. But we're trying to get that isolation through the pelvis. So we're lifting it up. When we lift up, we're squeezing and we're stretching this hip flexor. When we lower down, then we're letting everything relax. So see how that feels in your body. Now, again, this might just be quite a small movement. You might just, you can even close the eyes and really sense that different movement. So the pelvis, each side, it is in halves and it will move separately. So we want to try and maintain that quality of movement. And this is a great way of doing it. So lifting it up, pushing that glute and then letting it down. So just doing this a few times, easing out of the hips. This would be a great thing to do at the end of the day. If you're watching something on the TV, rather than just sitting in the chair for the whole time, you could sit in front of the telly and do this as well. Or however you live your life, integrating it in as some nourishment for your hips. So this is going to be a really nice thing to do regularly. So we're going to do that a few times. And then we're going to let everything just sit back in neutral. Then from here, we're going to focus on keeping this left knee pinned down to the floor, and we're going to see whether we can lift up that ankle and lower it down. Lifting it up and lowering it down. Now there isn't a lot of movement available in the knee, so you won't suddenly feel like it's not going to come all the way up. So you'll see from my knee, it's only going to hover off the floor like an inch of movement. But what you'll instantly feel is the muscle strength here right inside your hip. So keeping this nice and small. Now, if you feel like you do that and it cramps, which it might do if you've never done it before, just stretch that leg out, give it a squeeze, give it a wobble. If it doesn't return, if you keep getting cramped, don't worry about it. You maybe just sitting like this and getting used to this movement is enough for now, and we'll work up to it. So just be aware there that it is a common area. I often see in class that people suddenly, they'll get a cramp here because it's very focused, it's very concentrated movement. So when we get to the stage where it feels okay to lift that leg, we'll continue to lift it, and we're only going to need to do it a few times, and then we're going to swap sides. So let's bring the left leg forward and the right leg back. And even when you go onto the other side, you suddenly feel like, oh yeah, that hip feels like it's stretched and strengthened all at the same time. It's really nice to do these movements because it kind of just does a lot of that foundation work that we need. So hand on the right hip, so find that hip bone within your body, and then we start to squeeze the glute, lift it up, lift it forward, and then let it push down. So you might find that the bottom does touch the mat again, but it's not about sitting the bottom down. It's all just about whatever movement you've got, quality of movement, and maintaining that and actually improving it a little bit. And we're all about doing it just 10% at a time, so we don't ever have to think, this is going to fix everything all in one movement. This is about maintaining your well-being forever, so you feel good. So continue with this movement, and as with everything, do it for as long as you want to. There's no set way. This isn't an exercise regime that, you must do this 10 times a day for 3 days and then suddenly, it will equal this. This is about maintenance, and maintenance is about doing good things regularly. Small changes, healthy habits, and supporting your long-term well-being. So yeah, do it for as long as, you know, you might just do a few and be enough, or you might absentmindedly be sitting here like I am talking to you and think, yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. It feels quite nice. It feels good. So then we're going to keep this right knee attached to the floor or the mat or whatever, and then we're going to see whether we can lift that ankle. So if we look at it, it might not move. So don't be surprised if you think, oh gosh, that's not moving. Just keep looking at it. Keep thinking about moving it. Eventually it will move. So just thinking about it and sending those signals, we're almost just rewiring that bit of movement. Because if it doesn't move, all it means is that that movement pattern isn't wired into your brain. I'm sure when I first did this, I couldn't quite figure out what I was doing here. And I was watching it and I was thinking it wasn't working, and eventually your brain, that there is literally a map of movement that's happening from, you know, this part to here, and it's just a signal. You know, in the same way that we learn how to talk and walk and do all of those things, we mapped those movements in our body. Any new movement just needs a little bit of time to get mapped into the nervous system, and we can do it. So again, just being careful of any cramping that might happen here. I often find it's nice to just place the hand on the hip, because then you can feel the muscles, you can feel that strength inside the hip. So again, just do that a few times and just see how that feels. Just to release the thighs and make sure we're not creating any extra tension. Bring them out wide and just do a nice loose wobble from side to side with the legs. Take a few deep breaths. Also notice how the hips feel. Maybe they just feel like you've got fresh blood in them, they feel a bit healthier than they did before, and you feel just that little bit better.